Start out with discussion and possible action on July 26, 2016 meeting minutes. Everybody have a chance to take a look at them?
I'd like to make a motion that they be approved.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
All right. Motion second to approve the minutes. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Minutes are approved. Discussion, possible action on a certified survey map, 2 industrial lots, 2001 and 2101 Old Highway 35 South, southeast quadrant of State Trunk Highway 35 and Hanley Road, Northern States Power, Wisconsin, XL Energy.
And Northern States Power proposes a 2-lot certified survey map on a 21-acre parcel that's located on the southeast quadrant of State Trunk Highway 35 and Hanley Road. Lot 1 is 15.14 acres, and Lot 2 is a 6.23 acre lot. Again, the larger of the 2 lots is the proposed location of the XL Energy Service Center. Again, pretty straightforward. Sanitary sewer and water was extended by the Business Park Corporation in about 2010. Along the western side of these proposed parcel, there's a 60-foot wide easement proposed. The only issue that is of any concern of mine is that typically we have sewer and water services that are provided to those lots. At this time, there's not one proposed, or at least I haven't seen any information proposed for Lot 2. Lot 1 will come with the service center. So, and with the proximity of the sewer and water lines on the west side, we either approve it with a provision of this of services, or the city and XL enter into an agreement that the service will be provided at time of sale. We won't necessarily require security for that, but what I don't want to get into is you sell, or XL Energy or Northern States Power sells a lot, and the buyer comes back and says, how come there's not sewer and water services to the lot, even though there's sanitary sewer and water there? So that's the issue I'm trying to avoid. So we would work that out between the city and XL Energy. Either you go ahead and provide the sanitary sewer water services to the lot, or provide some kind of agreement that we can hold upon sale that those would be provided. So with that, I'd recommend approval of the certified survey map for the 2 industrial lots at the southeast quadrant of State Trunk Highway 35 and Hanley Road, as proposed by Northern States Power, Wisconsin.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion? Second?
Second.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion.
As Danny presented?
Yeah.
In other words, with that terminate wording?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
coming to terms on the water.
Yep.
Further discussion? Anybody? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on concept development plans, XL Energy Hudson Service Center, 26,392 square feet service center and 8,400 square feet cold storage, 2001 Old Highways 35 South, southeast quadrant of State Trunk Highway 35 and Hanley Road, Northern States Power, Wisconsin, XL Energy.
Again, this is XL Energy proposes to relocate their service center at the southeast quadrant of Hanley Road and State Trunk Highway 35. This is the northern of the 2 parcels, a 15.14 acre parcel. In general, the concept is acceptable. There's a few issues working from the concept plan to the final development plan need to be addressed. Stormwater was one issue. We had comments. I didn't necessarily include those in the package, but they have received the comments from the city staff. One was from our engineer, our specialist of stormwater, had very specific recommendations for incorporating. One of them is that the overflow or emergency runoff in the situation would go into the State Trunk Highway system, so the DOT needs to review the plans, make sure. We don't want to get the plans approved and then DOT comes back and asks us why, we haven't approached them on approval of draining into the, typically it's not an issue, but we just want to make sure that procedure's followed. Secondly, there is city engineer and utility director made some comments. None of them were significant comments, but just things on storm drainage, curbing, and so forth. Then the last two issues is with the sewer and water on the west side of the parcel. There's a stormwater system, ponding system that will be located between basically the building and yard proposed for the XL Energy Center. There's the stormwater ponding area, then there's the mains. And what I want to make sure of is that the city has access to those sanitary sewer and water. Even though we got a 60-foot easement and we got that pond in there, we got to make sure if in some cases, and one of them might be potentially getting to the hydrant on the west side for fire access. So in the finals, we need to see some way that we can get our vehicles across into that area if necessary. And the last one is that there is a proposed 150-foot communication tower proposed on the site. I'd like to get detailed information. I don't want to prove that part of the project tonight, but I would like to get information in regards to the tower so we can review it. I don't know if there's any way that we may be able to lower the height of that, depending on how the feasibility report that XL Energy has, but I'd like to look at that and come back with that consideration when they bring back their final development plans. With those comments, I would recommend approval, but I think we turn the floor over to XL Energy and Cedar Corporation, who's their design engineers on this project, and for them to present their plans. I think there were some adjustments, Lynn, correct, to the plans that maybe they can discuss too, based on what the city staff comments were, so. Russ, are you gonna take the lead?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Len. I'm Russ Kivney with Cedar Corporation. I'm the planner with Cedar Corp, for the team that put together the plans for the project. And Brian Elwood from XL Energy and Tim Moss with us from XL Energy here tonight that can answer any questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Len real quick to go over the plans. But as Denny mentioned, the plans we're presenting tonight, we just resubmitted back to Denny today, addressing all the city staff comments, as he mentioned, on the stormwater management, the water system, and so forth, and the items that Denny mentioned. We can easily work out those remaining comments and so forth. So with that, I'll turn it over to Len to present the plan real quick. It's a very exciting project. It's going to be a very nice project at a good location. So XL and Cedar Corporation are very excited to get this project under construction yet this fall. With that, Len?
Yeah, just one comment for Len, and if you come around and if you do that, Len, why don't you pick up the microphone pick up the microphone off the lectern and use that as you speak.
Portable. It's portable.
Portable, so that way the TV can pick up your comments.
There you go.
Thank you.
Like Russ said, I think everybody's pretty familiar where this is located, off of Hanley Road. And basically what we did is prepared a city submittal. We already put this thing out for bid just to kind of get the whole ball rolling on it. And so we have made changes, so that was some of the stuff you guys probably haven't seen in the packet you have. However, just a couple of the different changes that have been made. A couple plans were added and that type of thing. So we started off with our title sheet here. And then I think everybody has this in little form, 11 by 17 as well, so you guys probably have seen it, but basic floor plan. Did a color quartering just to kind of help show where everything was located, so hopefully you guys were able to take a look at that. It's going to be a pretty attractive building as far as, what they're going to have on it, if it doesn't fall down like this one. But anyhow, it's precast metal building for the most part. And then they're also going to have a cold storage. Will be matching the same colors of the building. That's going to be closer to the highway, right, in the project itself.
The principal building's a
Say what?
about precast concrete, correct?
This one?
The principal building.
Yes, correct. This one is going to be a metal building. It goes on, they show kind of some exterior lighting, how the whole thing is going to be kind of lit up on the project. Pretty typical. And we have some details as well for the lighting, the site lighting itself.
Their maximum fixture height is 20 feet, so it's not a real intensive lighting plan, so it shouldn't be too intrusive. Being set back from the right-of-ways, it really should be pretty much back to dark by the time you get to the property line, so.
Yep, and they do have the heads on them that are gonna stop it, you know, from transferring over into the highway areas or the road itself. Then we have one that shows all three parts of the certified survey map. This one will be showing where the two lots are divided up. And then also as part of this project, they have a little jog that was set off into the, onto Old State Highway 35 as part of the old farmstead. And just to clean that up, Excel requested that we, make that more right away, so it's a dedicated roadway that's gonna go back to the township at that point, but it's just to kind of clean up that bump out area so that it's all uniform on that area. And then obviously you have your certified sheet or signature page. That's typical with the surveys themselves. And then just moving on, we have the very first sheet that we get into after we have our title sheet is basically what's out there right now or what's proposed with the two lots. Once again, blown up a little bit and kind of shows what the existing topographic features are, that type of thing. We went out and we did some extensive soil borings. All the borings are located. We have a log and we have a geotech report, which was one of the things that were missing when we first put these plans out to you guys, but since that time we have submitted that to Denny, and I'm sure he's passing around to those individuals who would really need to take a look at that. But this goes in hand with that, and it's also part of that report as well. Then this is kind of the meat of the project itself. We're going to have where you see the darker shaded gray areas. That's going to be the storage yard, which is going to consists of 5 inches of asphalt. And then we have 2 parking areas, which are going to be more like, I want to say, just vehicle traffic, passenger vehicles, that type of thing. And so we're only going to have 3 inches of asphalt on that. We have some concrete sidewalks, and we have some concrete pads that are also going to be in front of some of the storage buildings or facility itself. So that type of thing. What we did, one of the questions that came up in the review process, and we've already kind of addressed it, is basically we have, there's no curb and gutter on this. For the most part, it's going to be a lot of sheet draining. And what we're doing is we're taking it and draining it onto the hard surface of the asphalt. We'll go to, in this case, the north face, and then we're going to have a concrete catch and then concrete flume that's going to go down to the bottom of the ditch or the conveyance ditches that we have throughout the whole project. We also have a location over here, so anywhere we're trying to direct flow of that stormwater, we're going to make sure that we're not going to have an erosion problem, because some of the soils that we have out here are, fairly good sand, so can be highly erodible, that type of thing. So we've added those to kind of address some of those features. One other thing, the initial project, we had a overflow pipe that was over here. That was going to be going over to that DOT highway that Denny had mentioned. We recalculated everything, and basically we'll see when we get to the grading plan, we have a ditch that's kind of running up here. What we're going to do is we're going to have the waters or storm waters kind of fill up and overflow up in this direction. There is this existing 30-inch CMP that crosses Hanley Road right now, flows to the north. And so all our water is going to be channeled that way, and obviously we have to do pre versus post, so we can't allow any more stormwater to exit the site than what does currently, and we are reducing it in this case. But we kind of took care of that issue. However, we are still forwarding all these plans along to the DOT representatives to make sure that we have their blessing on this project as well. And then obviously out here we put in a 200-foot turn lane taper to kind of help out with some of the traffic that may happen as part of this expansion as well. And so we're making it a wider 12-foot lane right there. We'll have 2 of them side by side to kind of help any traffic that's happening, and any traffic turning, that type of thing, you can kind of get around them a little bit easier. I guess before I move on, I should ask, does anybody have any questions up to this point? Because I am kind of rolling along with things fairly quickly. All right, please stop me if you do at any time. Then back to the whole grading plan. Once again, we have the 4 locations where we added curb and gutter. We did add some additional spot elevations for this whole thing. Like I said, we had a exit pipe that was going here. We take that. Now we're backing up this drainage, and actually there's going to be an emergency overflow that's going to happen right in this area. We'll get down into this existing ponding area and exit where it normally does.
Excuse me, previously you said no curb and gutter, now you said curb and gutter.
Just at these locations here and here.
Okay.
1, 2,
Funnel it into your
3, and then right here.
catch basin.
Yep, because everything is gonna, you can see it kind of drains on the surface itself and gets to that location.
These revisions will be subject to the city staff review again, so,
So this is new to you too?
yes.
Yes. Yep, and also with that, I know you usually try to have a safety factor. I think this is at like 919. Our building here is at 922, and then the new facility is going to be at 924.5 or 924.55. So we definitely have, you know, plenty freeboard of that flood stage, and we're not going to flood the, you know, the existing lot either in those scenarios. This next one is the erosion control plan. Basically, as part of this whole project, we're disturbing more than an acre, so we are entering into that notice of intent. All the stormwaters have to go through the state. You have to get a permit to have that happen. So they're reviewing this. You know, city staff is reviewing what we're doing here as well, but for the most part, we have you know, either coconut mat or double net straw armored throughout the whole project. One of the things that came up in the review process as well is how we were calculating some of our infiltration rates throughout the whole project. What we ended up doing is we have a couple ditches. This right here, along this path, this is going to be kind of a bermed area because there's plenty of topsoil out there. So in order to kind of make things balance out and work out right, we're going to kind of have that, so it's a nice feature to kind of add into the project. But these along the ditches, we were going to put a lot of the topsoil. We're going to go 12 inches thick with replacing everywhere on the side slopes, that type of thing, so we get a good catch of vegetation as well as, you know, roots to grow. But in the drainage swales, we're only going to go with 4 inches of topsoil, which is what they typically recommend as a minimum. And then the pond itself here, actually the sand material that we have has a high infiltration rate, usually like 3.6, and we are using a 1.63 as a safety factor in this whole thing. But we are going to leave the bottom of this pond sand, right? And then over time, just maintenance, you know, it's going to fill in somewhat, but, you know, they'll have to till it periodically. As part of the NOI, we have to put an agreement from Excel, which has been signed by their executives, that they are going to maintain and take care of this thing and do whatever they have to do do that. So we also haven't included that as part of our resubmittal to the city. At the time, we did not have all that information in hand, so that's coming up. But those are kind of some of the things that are happening, and then once again, we're adding riprap at all those ends of where the curb and gutter is coming down to make sure that we're not going to have any erosion problems happening on this particular project. Talked a little bit initially about your utilities and how we're going to how we're going to locate the utilities for our particular building. The building itself is going to have access to utilities. These are both 8-inch lines, 8-inch water main, 8-inch sanitary. We do have some manholes. What we did is we're running it kind of right parallel along our south property line. This is a manhole here, so it's possible that, you know, some whatever would happen down here may go be able to go here. Otherwise, there is existing mains that kind of run, you know, along the right of way of the highway as well. And let's see. I know one question came up that this is like at a minimum grade. We did that just because we are running close to our ditch here and we didn't want to insulate it, that type of thing. But those are engineering things that can be worked through with city staff on this particular one. We went on and we kind of took a look at or reviewed your landscaping code, tried to put as many of the plants and such that we thought were available. One of the comments that came back is maybe we don't have enough evergreens on the outer perimeter. So what we did is we kind of clumped some of these. These are going to be crabapple trees. They're right next to the power line, so we don't want them to get too tall, where they'd be hacked a lot. And then we went with some techie arborvitaes. It's a taller, more of a screening type look to it, more of a evergreen type look. But once again, they're not going to get very tall, so they're not going to be chopped as well as part of the process. So basically, general, we have deciduous type trees throughout, shrubs throughout, some plantings or right around the building, and then everything will be kind of addressed with either rock or edging, landscape edging, that type of thing, as you would kind of typically see.
I have a question before you go on.
Yep.
I've been thinking about it. I want to go back to your pond that you were at a page or two earlier, and you said you're contracting with somebody to keep the bottom of that clean and working and all that. So let's say there's a problem. Who does the city go to, XL or the contractor? That's so-called keeping.
That would be Excel's maintenance.
That's internal with
Yep.
you guys.
Yeah, the agreement basically is it's their responsibility. Typically in those agreements, there may be or typically there is a condition that if they're not maintained, the city has the right to go in and do the maintenance and charge that cost to the property owner.
Okay.
If for some reason they're not functioning the way that they should be.
Thank you. Thank you.
We know that's not gonna happen though.
And then the last sheets we have is basically we just put together a bunch of construction details, how to construct the project. And as part of that, when we submitted to the city staff, you guys have your own, like for the utility work, water main, sanitary, that type of thing. You guys have your own utilities or your own details that you like to have incorporated, so we went and got those as well and put those into the project plans. And they will be submitted. You can see the number of changes happened here. And a lot of it is just due to, your details are a little bit different than what we had in the particular project. And this is that curb detail I was talking to you guys about that we added. We'll go all the way down to the bottom, right, of the channels and then have riprap at the very end to make sure that nothing erodes on our project. And then the last thing that has kind of came up maybe is we have a fence detail. And this actually just developed a little bit today, so help me out a little bit, but I know, I think what we're looking at is to go with a 7-foot high fence without any barbed wire on top, so that is going to be adjusted accordingly, but it pretty much should meet your guys' standards in the city. Otherwise, if you guys have any questions.
I would recommend approval of the concept development plans of the 5 points I made during my introduction, then with the condition that the city staff review the revised plans and forward recommendations. And then plans will come back in 2 weeks for the September 13th, or maybe 3 weeks for the September 13th Plan Commission meeting.
I'll move that motion. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. We're omitting the tower and some other things at this point.
The details of the tower will come back at that time, not tonight, so.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. We got time. Anybody got anything to say?
This is regards to future agendas. Randy brought up the Hagan 11th Street Bridge. We're working on that. Once we get some information from DOT, we'll bring that back and put it on the agenda.
Okay, thanks.
Next date, Tuesday, September 13th. We'll be meeting the 13th because Labor Day's on Monday. Council meeting is going to be on the Tuesday night, so we'll have conflict, so we'll move meeting back a week. And then the second meeting would be on Tuesday, September 27th, both at 7 p.m. All right.
This is just something that was brought up, I don't know, a year ago or so, and I don't know if we've forgotten about it, but we were gonna have a discussion on the payment in lieu of parking.
Put that on.
capacity related to,
Fred, if,
and I know they're doing a parking study, so maybe that's a
no,
a
that's,
moot point, but,
no, and that's what I was going to mention. The payment in lieu of parking will be reviewed by the parking consultants.
okay.
All the financial information, all revenue rates, all that will be reviewed and recommendations be coming forward. So I would strongly suggest maybe we wait till we get the final analysis by the parking consultants, then we can bring that back as a discussion item, because that will be part of their review.
Perfect, then, thank you.
Who is the parking consultant?
It's being done by Rich and Associates out of, I think they're out of Southfield, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
They've worked a lot with the city of La Crosse, have a very good
Very good.
reputation on their analysis particularly of
Excellent.
existing conditions. That's one of the reasons we went
Good.
specifically with them. They'll do 3 audits, if finish one audit, they'll come back and do an audit in October and do a 3rd audit in December during the holiday season. So the final report will be due January, early February 2017.
Very good. And just looking at future meeting dates, so as a general rule, like October moving forward, are we thinking the 1st and 3rd Tuesday is?
Well, that's what we were trying to do. Rich has a conflict with the 3rd Tuesday, so I've been bumping those meetings back a week. So I'm trying to work out dates, but,
Right.
we agreed to the 1st and 3rd, but Rich has a conflict on the 3rd Tuesday, so right now, some of the way the other, like July 4th and Labor Day, we ended up, bumping them back a week, so we'll really take a look. I'll take a look at the
Okay.
rest of the year in early 2017, see how we can line those up.
Just trying to kind of plan.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, I just say one other comment that's been said to me repeatedly is, I keep getting asked by people, Fred, you're involved with the city, how come Hudson doesn't have a compost site or something like Woodbury? And, I mean, I don't know how to answer that, and maybe that's, I'm throwing a bomb at you here, but I think people would be very interested in the city looking
I know that
at
issue's
that.
come up. We
don't know.
want either a compost site and/or a site where tree branches can be.
Right.
There was some discussion on maybe trying to go jointly with Village of North Hudson, or trying to do something with River Falls, Town of Troy, City of Hudson. There's been some discussions on and off. I know Tom Zuley was working on that, trying to get some kind of proposed private. When I talk with Tom, see if they've got any existing status. I don't know if Randy, from any of your other committee involvement, that,
Not at this point.
No, I haven't-
I mean,
I
we
haven't heard.
loosened it up and allowed homeowners to composite, but you're talking about yard debris and specifically, right?
Well, I mean, yard debris, but I mean, I'm not saying we should be like somebody, but I'm saying that as a city, is that a service that we should maybe offer? Because, I mean, you're either making the garbage companies rich by forcing residents to put it in bags and charge for it. Other people run those things and actually make a profit on them. And the way I understood it, or past discussions were, land is the issue and maybe staffing. But if they're self-sufficient and can make money, it's I think a very wanted service by the residents for brush, for grass, for leaves. Fall leaf is a big one. I mean, if you want to expand it and go into appliances and TVs and other things, there's all kinds of things you could throw into that. But I'm not saying to go that far, but we batted it around a little bit like a ping pong ball, and there's, yes, we'll do something, look at it and do something about it, or no, let's just keep pushing it off. And I guess I'm trying to say, let's come to the waterfall on this thing.
Randy's point is that the city of Hudson just recently modified the city ordinances, so composting is allowed in 1 and 2 family residential lots now. It was not before, but it is now.
Oh.
If you follow the standards that's required by the city, you can compost on a occupied 1 or 2 family lot.
But I understand what you're saying, and not to get off subject, but there is River Falls has a drop site for yard debris, big branches, lawn clippings. It's been talked about, we can certainly bring it up.
How are they maintained?
That's the issue. How is it controlled?
Yeah, I've seen, like in St. Paul, we had compost sites, they were enormous, and they had city crews in there with equipment constantly churning the stuff, and
I don't know the
and it
answer.
can't just be a dump site, you know, somebody's gotta get in there and work it.
Right. And maybe that makes it infeasible, I don't know, but that's, I guess, I think people would like to hear that we've addressed it, looked into it, to a degree. Is it feasible? Is it something we could do? Of course, we suffer from the wrath of all your neighbors are doing it, how come you're not?
A lot of people don't like to do it because of the smell,
I know that.
and they'd rather have it somewhere else, in
I know
the
that.
neighbor's backyard instead of theirs.
Anyway, I
I
wanted
think
to
the
say it.
easiest answer, next step, I suppose, is if we can get Tom Zulli to talk to River Falls. I mean, they have, it's a
See
dump
if we can
site.
dump our stuff down there,
I'm sorry?
and see if we can dump our stuff down there.
Sure.
I think you can if you pay.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the closest answer, I feel.
Yeah.
What are they doing? That allow, because they've had it for years. So it's obviously
Well, they're-
successful, or
They're
at
the same
least,
size we are, or just a little bit bigger, and so they've been able to do it, and doesn't it make you wanna say, how? How are you doing it? How's it working?
Yeah.
Have most of the people that approached you been approaching you about limbs or primarily leaves in the fall?
Well, I guess I haven't been keeping a scorecard, but it's some of both.
I think the leaves in the fall is,
Leaves is huge.
Grass clippings, where do the grass clippings go that get picked
Yeah,
up?
they're picked up by their commercial,
And where do they put them?
I assume they have a compost site somewhere.
Yeah,
I mean, there's good money in it if you pump out a good compost.
yeah.
I prescribe to that lawn service, and I mean, it's extremely convenient.
Mary Claire?
I'm hearing you want this addressed at a different committee.
I don't know where it goes.
Public
I
Works
don't,
issue,
I don't know
I'll bring it
where,
up.
if that's our deal or not, but
I'll bring it up with Tom and
Okay.
discuss it.
Not to create an open forum, and I know this is not our issue, but I get asked about the burning policy. So will there be something in the paper this fall about burning, not burning? I mean, people have been burning this summer, and I'm thinking, I really don't think that they can burn in the city of Hudson in the middle of summer, but maybe I'm wrong. But is there something we can do to alert the residents on what the burning policy is?
Well, there's a couple ways. One, in our website, we can post that as, and also typically, we go to the newspaper and ask them to do an article on burning or what the restrictions are, so we can.
What are they burning?
Leaves and debris and garbage and variety of items.
Bonfires.
But it's not even it's an open, it's an open fire, it's not in an enclosed,
But even
It's
an
not
open
enclosed.
fire is limited what you can burn by
Right.
city ordinance, so.
right, but I think people just aren't aware.
A lot of garbage in there.
I move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.